It's prelim final week in the AFL, so let's rank the top 10 prelims from the last 20 years. There are now only 10 days to go until the biggest day on the AFL calendar, and today is day 36 of teaching you something about the AFL to help make you a new AFL fan. In 10th spot, I've got St Kilda's win over the Western Bulldogs in 2009. This one went right down to the wire, with Nick Riewoldt kicking this iconic dagger to put the Saints into the grand final. In 9th spot, I've got GWS's win over Collingwood in 2019. The Giants got away to a pretty good lead in this game, but the Pies came back hard in the last quarter and were so close to hitting the front in the dying seconds, but the Giants held on to make their first ever grand final. In 8th, I've got Sydney's win over Collingwood by 1 point in 2022. Again, the Swans had a pretty good lead in this game, but the Pies came storming home in the last quarter and were agonisingly close to making the grand final in McRae's first season. In 7th spot, I've got Hawthorn's win against Port Adelaide in 2014. Similarly, Hawthorn were up big in this game as well, and the power came storming home late, and they actually had a chance to hit the front, but their shots went wayward and they didn't have enough time on the clock to get that last goal. The Hawks went through by just a few points and set up a grand final date with Buddy in his first season at the Swans. In 6th, I've got Hawthorn's 2012 win against Adelaide. A young Tex Walker fit and firing, Buddy Franklin firing down the other end for the Hawks, along with the menace himself, Cyril Rioli, and this one was an absolute nail biter all day, but the Hawks held on in an absolute thriller to go through to the grand final. In 5th spot, we're going back to just 2 years ago, and Collingwood's 1 point win over GWS. Mason Cox stepped up big in the last quarter, and Toby Green nearly kicked this unbelievable goal from the boundary to put the Giants in front, but the Pies held on in front of over 95,000 people. In 4th spot, we're going back to just last year, Brisbane's win against Geelong. This honestly was an unbelievable back and forth game, and the huge goals in the end from Archie and Rayner were absolutely iconic. In 3rd, it's one of the matchups that we've got this week, Geelong's loss against the Hawks in 2013, where they broke the Kennett curse. The Hawks came firing back in the last quarter through Burgoyne and Gunston to ultimately break their 11-game losing streak against the Cats and head through to the grand final, where they'd begin their dynasty. In 2nd, an unbelievable game from 2011, Collingwood against Hawthorn. Buddy Franklin kicked this unbelievable goal to put the Hawks in front with a few minutes to go, and then Luke Ball stepped up with this one to put the Pies back in front, where they'd ultimately hold on and go through to the grand final in unbelievable circumstances. And then at number 1, it's the Western Bulldogs against GWS in 2016. The Bulldogs fairy tale ultimately came true, but this game was up and down throughout the whole game, with the Giants having a decent lead and the Bulldogs having to come back. But it honestly had everything that you could want from a football game, and the Dogs went through to their first grand final in over 50 years. So let me know if you think this list is correct. Leave a like and comment. Stay tuned for more amazing AFL content coming your way this week in the build up to the AFL Grand Final.